Sam got Andrew Tyndale to come and have a chat with us. Andrew unfortunately just had to leave for another meeting, but there was this moment when we got about 2/3 of the way through our conversation where he was trying to get us to focus what it is we were talking about, being academics. That was a necessary exercise. And he said, "Oh, you don't want my money?" And I said, "No." He said, "That's good, lead with that." Because a lot of Christian organisations, that's like all the business people are invited to, right? So let us start with, we don't want your money, unless you feel inclined. And in that case, I'd like to welcome our president, who's sitting over there, Stephen Fogarty, who is my boss, and particularly to thank Sam and for Georgie for doing all the work today. You've done remarkable things. AC is the largest Christian college you've never heard of, which is because we focus largely on large structural change for the allied arms of the church. We're not out there flogging our own name out there. We're out there to help the church be active in society. We're about listening to what happens in society. We've built what is now the largest Christian teacher education program in the country. It's about to be, cross fingers, funded in the state budget. When we began talking to business people, we came into a very similar sort of understanding that what we're hearing from business people is that they can't get a solid supply of young Christian people who are well equipped to enter the workforce and who share your ethos. We hear from the young people that they're struggling to find meaningful work which actually expresses their callings from God. All the things you drive over, live under, or pass through in this city were largely built by Christian business people. That is not something you could say today about the current reality in which we live. So that's the scale of the problem. And the answer very largely to all of that thing, all of those problems is the same, and that is you need to put people back with people. We need to put young people with experienced Christian people who've walked the path so that they can, in the place of business where the costs are real, where there are real outcomes, where it's not a theory or something you read in a book, but the place of practice is the place of learning, in which where we need experienced Christian business people to engage with young people. Now you might say, where are these young people coming from? Well, this year we started an entrepreneurship program in 6 schools up in the Hunter. We have just taken over a very large entrepreneurship program in a school whose name you would know at first hearing. So that's operating in 5 schools this year. By the end of next year, we expect that to be in 20 schools. And so what we're looking for is an embedded, just-in-time accredited business education pathway, which takes place in startups, which in turn acts as the places simultaneously of learning, of employment, and of spiritual formation. Now, in that pathway, for young Christian business people of the future, we think that you have a critical part to play. And if you hear something today which is of interest to you, that you're probably already doing it, by the way. I know lots of Christian business people already mentor young people, but they don't have the connections to the learning structures and the degree structures that a tertiary partner could bring. Well, we'd be really interested in talking to you about that. Now, we're already training dozens of young Christian people in regional schools and in some of the best known schools in the country. Now, these are going to be the entrepreneurs of the future. In some of the places where they work, and I'll show you a film clip in a moment, about a place in New South Wales, Cessnock, some of you might know it, where fundamentally youth unemployment is a major issue, and they've had the guts ripped out of their local industry. And so the local council and the local Chamber of Commerce is backing the Christian school as one of their major levers for transforming their local economy. That's a huge opportunity.
Like, we've been talking about this for over 2 years now. And every time I talk to someone, it takes a couple of hours for them to go, I get it, because it's huge. Like, we want to take that and scale it around Australia. That's big. We actually don't want to stop there though. We want to scale that around the world, but we don't want to stop there. We want to take that same model and apply that into a university and then scale that around the country. No, I'm kidding, scale that around the world, of course, because we really do see that God is moving in this stuff. This is a big thing. We want to really change the way that Christians do business in Australia and the world. We want to create the businesses that are going to change the world for the better and undo a lot of the legacy damage that's been done. With God in all of His wisdom, He makes us unique. So most people don't fit into a cookie cutter program. And so we have that at the heart of this new program. So each person, we need to figure out, well, why are you here? What has God built you to do? And how do we support you to do that? How do you do that? Well, it requires you guys to actually mentor them, to be there one-on-one, to help them in a place that they want to grow in. They feel called to go into that space, and you've got experience in that space. There are very few opportunities in today's society where they get to see Christian business in action. So they don't know the better way that you're doing. So they can't replicate it. So we need to embed them in your businesses so they can understand the cultures that you're working so hard to create. These aren't going to be scrunchy manufacturing businesses. These aren't going to be, traditional businesses. We're looking to move the dial in significant ways. So it's more so thinking way far ahead. What's going to be the industry of tomorrow, and how do we build that business today? Mentoring, supervising, building. You might say, well, that all sounds great, but it's not for me. And that's okay. This is pretty nutty stuff. But we should be the ones taking the risks because we have a good God who's got our back. So every time you step out in faith, we know how this is going to play out. It's all going to be fine. But we need to be leading that charge. So why aren't we taking those risks? I think we should be. I think we should be taking those risks and building the better way.